Hey, there's a new one. Okay.
Does that actually work?
What?
Like it'll give you 2 separate recordings?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Aural Hygiene. We talk about caught films, educational films. This one's pretty caughty. We're in the middle of the Marenghi. We're like at the right past the halfway point. Like if there's a 50% mark, we're now at 52%. It's the Apes of Wrath from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I'm Matt here. Mark's in a different room.
Different room.
Different time. Different everything. Is anything
Different
the same?
time zone.
We both have walls.
It's 9:05 p.m.
No, it's not. Fuck you. Luke's computer says 2:05 a.m. It disagrees with you.
Stop telling me what time to exist in.
I exist in like all times and all places at once, man.
That's Luke who exists there.
Can't.
We're living in 3
It's
different
all
times.
just like an illusion of human perception anyway.
Yeah. And if you were in daylight savings time, we give you like a 4th time. And then we'd be in prime time cube territory.
Yeah.
We all exist in the time cube.
Idiot.
There's no way you can understand the time cube. Your teachers didn't know what they were talking about.
When are we going to start our time cube podcast?
There is that documentary that was made, so you could definitely do an oral hygiene on it. But that all gets depressing because like the kid who made the documentary killed himself and stuff. Because the time cube guy bullied him.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just made me like not quite want to do it anymore. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's in his favor to do it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the QAA podcast did one recently, and yeah, it all gets pretty grim.
Because the time cube guy bullied everybody.
Yeah,
I'm just imagining the time cube guy dressed up like the Zodiac killer, just like screaming at somebody, and that's like bullying. That can't be what it is.
I always assumed he wore a magical coat with like the the formulas of the time cube on it.
See, because I picture him exactly as I think he is, which is just like really boring old white guy in the South.
I know that's who he actually was. Actually, I don't think the guys with the same war, but
never meet your heroes.
Yeah,
like
especially
when they're batshit insane.
Yeah, it was the time I saw
ways that can go. Either they're insane at you, or you meet them and it turns out they're boring and normal and it's a performance. And like that's worse.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said about like the mundanity of really mentally ill people. Like meeting Wesley Willis the one time I saw him live was like there is just something there where he was kind of there was I don't want to talk shit about Wesley Willis. R.I.P. Wesley Willis, but he was kind of scary.
If I ever met like Kanye West, I don't want him to be like polite and friendly to me.
No, he would probably do
experience, right?
I can't. He would do this thing where he put his arm around you, and then he'd start like telling you about business ventures that he wanted to do that, and 25 out of 26 of them won't happen.
And then I'll take a selfie and he'll just scowl at the camera like I'm creating this terrible affront towards him. That's what I want.
Yeah, probably.
We'll say, Luke, since you're here for this one and you did a stellar job on the last one, I guess you should give us that plot for the apes here.
So at Dark Place Hospital, people are turning into apes. One of the apes knocks Dr. Rick Douglas out. He awakens a month later, which is a long time, and discovers that now the hospital is all apes, and it's being run by apes. And then he figures out that they're being turned into apes by the water. So he goes to the water storage room where he meets the leader of the apes, played by Noel Fielding, pursues him on bicycle and then across an obstacle course because he's been pissing into the water to make it into monkey transforming fluid. And eventually he manages to concoct a formula from the monkey and turn everyone back. And it asks the real question, that if the government keeps paying doctors peanuts, will they turn into monkeys?
Wouldn't they turn into elephants? Monkeys want bananas.
We're unrelated to elephants. I mean, we are related, but not as directly.
Yeah. Right. They point out that we're humans. We're homos.
We're all just homos.
Homo erectus.
All right, give me a second.
He's finding something of some kind.
Yeah.
of course, this doesn't go on a plot summary, but we do start the episode in a bad place. That's fun. I feel like that's kind of like pulling your punch, though. Like the bad place is not as bad as dark as the dark place.
All right, racist.
Or is it? I guess a dark place is fine, but you can't see anything.
I think
Here you go, Matt.
it's
Lovely
just
glass of water for you.
Oh, I think.
no, don't drink it.
Cheers.
I only have purple water. This isn't water. This is
That'll make you turn into a lemur.
This is just ordinary water. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is what the water looks like in Japan.
oh, okay. It's like probably cucumber flavored.
Yes.
No, melon.
Yeah, nice.
There's got to be a cucumber soda out there.
Yeah, but cucumber just basically tastes of water anyway.
Pretty sure the first time I had cucumber soda was in Japan, but I could be wrong on that.
Has Matt told you the story about my gin and tonics?
No.
We were at a works do. It was like an open bar. So I was on the G&Ts. And then I replaced my lime with a slice of cucumber because that's like the prime thing to put in a gin and tonic. And then a bit later, him and Matty got me another one. They couldn't find a cucumber, so they put a zucchini in it.
I thought you were going to say pickle.
For the rest of the afternoon, we were just putting various vegetables like red peppers and shit.
That's some gin tonic experimentation.
Yeah.
They were using the cheap gin anyway.
Yeah.
It was like Victory gin or something, right?
Yeah. Here's a public service announcement. If you're making gin and tonics, the tonic does not affect the flavor much. Buy the cheapest tonic you can. The gin is the only bit that affects the flavor.
Right.
I feel like that's the one thing I learned was spend money on the gin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the whiskey or the scotch. But we got to hold off on the
scotch.
That's next week.
Okay.
Next episode, whatever.
Yes, that's correct.
This episode has some nice originality, like we haven't seen anything like it before. I mean, that is a joke, of course, but
the best joke in this episode is, well, the second best joke in this episode is just that you immediately see what happens immediately, and then nobody figures it out for a month. But
and the moment where he does figure it out is great. It's like all those flashbacks, and it's like, I still haven't had a glass of water.
I like the idea that Dean Lerner is just hanging out in his office for a month, only drinking coffee while the apes are in the hospital.
Mark and I did Blood Feast not so long ago, and that's how the cops in that movie function.
Oh yeah,
like he gets all the evidence, and it takes him like another 12 hours to figure it out, and like 3 people have been murdered in that period.
It's basically how I function. So I always feel healthier when I'm going to the gym. And I think part of it isn't actually anything to do with the exercising. It's just the gym is the only time I drink water.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of the time, I just drink tea and coffee and soda. So, I'm just tricking myself into drinking a couple of liters of water a day when I go to the gym.
Yeah, I've seriously pondered buying the $50 water bottle where it's like you drink it and it sends a Bluetooth to your phone that's like, you drank this much water.
Maybe I should actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I would just stop putting soda in the bottle.
Yeah, of course.
You've had this much soda. You're an idiot.
I can detect.
Grape vodka in it.
Nice.
But yeah, it was it was kind of like, this could be like, like kind of a somewhere between here and Idiocracy, right? Where they're already like using whatever it's called, Globochem, I don't remember what it's called, as fertilizer.
Have I mentioned that I have this unpopular opinion where I don't like Idiocracy?
I've heard a few people say that. I can get that.
I've still never seen it.
Yeah.
We are going to eventually do it for the pod, and I don't know which way I'm going to come down on it.
It's a thing where there are a lot of really good little gags in it, but I really dislike how it's turned into this thing where people just yell that we're living in Idiocracy when something stupid happens.
I've got a feeling that I'm going to find it unbearably liberally smug.
It's sort of that. It's also just it's generally depressing,
right?
And there's the whole eugenics angle where it's like, like stupid people don't have stupid babies. That's not how things work.
No.
Well, eugenics is quite popular these days because it's like well, you know, it only kills the weak and the old, so we can
Yeah.
just let it do it.
Yeah, it's a mild Omicron's mild. Let's just reopen everything. Who cares? You're fine.
I was thinking we got the water, right? Our water here. Now for old farts like Mark and myself, I guess we were thinking ecto cooler. At least I was. I'm pretty sure you would have been too.
So irritated that they brought that back this year as like a thing where you have to tweet at High C and they might send you one of 6 bottles of it or something.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, they properly brought it back in 2016 for that Ghostbusters. So you
Good
could
for
buy
them.
it. So I bought like 72 juice boxes of it or something like that. Whatever the Amazon like pallet of it you have to buy. So I had enough to give away to people that I loved and get sick of it.
And get sick on
But-
it.
Both, yes. And turn into an ape.
It's kind of like this without the carbonation.
Okay.
I think, yeah, not that. Well, you've had the melon soda here, I'm pretty sure. So you know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
talking
have. I think that was what I got when we found that like drink machine with a random button. Are those common in Japan?
You see them now, and it's whenever they've got something that they've got too much of, they want to get rid of.
I mean,
It's a
I will never.
surprise.
Yeah, I can't resist that. If it's something where it's like low risk, like sodas, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit the random button.
Fair.
Now, Mark, you had a similar note. I have mine out right now, which is Future Shock shitted up Orson Welles. What were we getting at there?
I don't know what that meant.
Oh no, but no, you had
shit it up?
something. Shit it up.
Shit you up.
He does say at the start of the episode, here's a story that will really shit you
You
up.
wrote a Future Shock that'll shit you up.
That's what he says.
Future
That's what
shock that'll
Garth says at
shit
the
you
start of the
up.
episode.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just bringing the Orson Welles.
He's like, yeah, on this
Ready.
tape is a future shock that will shit you up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't know if he's inventing slang or if I just truly don't
No,
understand
shit you
British
up is British slang, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because there's one point, I think it was the last episode or one before that, where he just says something about Liz and he's like, she's so up herself. And I was like, that was just my favorite shit. I'd love to tell somebody they're so up themselves.
I think I've used that unironically during this recording today.
Awesome. Yeah, then it cuts to her and she's immediately has her mascara just running down her entire face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one, yes. Because I
That was
did
great.
make a note about that. Now, although I would say this one is more of the Liz episode.
It,
I mean,
it is
in
one
the-
of the Liz episodes. There are a lot of Liz episodes.
The first
for the-
episode's a pure Liz episode.
No, well, I'm talking about the documentary end.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because-
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's-
Right? This is the one that really insinuates some bad shit.
The line at the end where she's like, I think she's in the Eastern Bloc. And you're like, oh, so you think she's alive? No, I just think she's buried in the Eastern Bloc. If she
England.
got a burial. So bleak. Love it.
I just put Madeline is missing because she's trying to get away from these assholes.
The one I really enjoy whenever they have, I can't remember either of the layers' names, but the real actor is Matt Berry.
Mhm.
In his segments, he's always like, I thought it would look shit, but it was all right, actually.
Yeah,
That's just all he ever has to say.
And then, of course,
Or
they
that-
show you something that looks shit.
Where he talks about Dean Lerner's acting. He's just
Yeah.
like, some would say he doesn't act at all. It's very unusual, but it looks pretty good. He just keeps
But, you
doing
know, you can't really tell.
He's a
Actor
positive
Todd
dude.
Rivers, who plays Dr. Lucian Sanchez, played by Matt
Right.
Berry.
So many layers.
This is definitely the first thing I saw Matt Berry in. And,
Mm.
and now he's like this huge, massive star because he's in a TV version of What We Do in the Shadows, which somehow is as good as the film, which is wild.
He was
Um,
also he's in IT Crowd from the second series onward, and he
Okay.
had he had a show called Toast of London, where it's
I-
basically this again. He's playing an old actor.
I think I remember that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I've seen that or not.
I love Matt Berry's just got this delivery that makes literally anything he says hilarious. So
Yeah, when I first saw this show, I thought that because they intentionally make his dubbing bad because that's one of the many jokes. I was like, that's somebody else talking, right? They just gave him like a he sounds just like the greatest narrator.
yeah,
Like he's up there with like Morgan Freeman. But you
No.
can't even believe it is. I don't know. There's a petition now to get him as the voice of Garfield. It's just fantastic.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. So is it a deal breaker if a girl shits in your car?
I mean, if she's an ape, that's fine.
Okay.
It's a deal breaker for me if the girl is an ape.
I like the fact that it's like her and Sanchez both just sort of drink the water around the same time, and he's just sort of like an articulate, like humanoid ape who says thoughts, and she just turns into like,
She immediately goes feral, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's because we as men are already in touch with the beast inside, so we can handle it. As women, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the cartoonish misogyny in this series is just, I think it just, to me, aged incredibly well, because it's like, I don't think that in 2004 we were really looking back on the 80s and thinking about how misogynist it was, and now it's just incredibly obvious. And maybe someday that'll age terribly, but it's pretty great now.
I do love how Dean has to just keep pressing the point that, well, I only drank a little.
Yeah. Well, you see the
Yeah.
reason. Okay.
They do the flashback even. Oh my
It was
God.
just a little, so it wasn't enough to do anything. It's like
I will say that when Noel Fielding shows up as the monkey and stuff in this,
Mhm.
it's a bit too wacky and silly. So it doesn't have the, like, most of this show, it finds a really fine line between it's really dumb, but you believe that they thought it was really cool. Whereas that's just pure slapstick silliness. But it makes sense they left it to episode 4, right?
Yeah, the obstacle course is a bit much, but
It's also just him like
absolutely.
Mighty Booshing through all of his scenes. Like,
Pretty much.
although I've been working through some of the 80s Ray Bradbury and Tales from the Dark Side in particular recently, and it's sometimes it gets pretty close.
Okay.
They're not completely wrong on that shit.
The closest thing, this is a little bit of an aside, but the closest thing I've seen to closest thing I've seen to Dark Place was randomly today. I was at my mom's house, and she has the channel that's just all old stuff all the time, and an episode of Walker Texas Ranger was showing, and wow, that was a lot like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I think that was from like the mid 90s even.
Yeah.
That made the Chuck Norris dream happen, right? Is that Chuck Norris?
Chuck Norris is Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah. I think that was where he became a. Gee, everyone's kind of forgotten about him now. I mean, he's we don't put him forward as the guy that destroys everything anymore.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Chuck Norris memes back in the day, but then he went and used them to endorse some fucking heinous Republican candidates.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's where it stopped happening.
Pretty sure everyone stopped making Chuck Norris jokes after the Mike Huckabee advert.
Yeah, that was I don't know, memes 1.0, when memes were just completely sincere. Like, we're way past that now.
I actually own, they probably still have them in the UK, like a little paperback book of Chuck Norris jokes, and the sequel, which also contains Mr. T ones.
Nice.
You remember any good Mr. T jokes?
None of them were good, man.
Particularly bad Mr. T joke?
I can't at this point identify which ones
okay.
were Mr. T and which ones were Chuck Norris.
Oh, right.
But
there's
he
definitely
got bitten by a cobra 3 days later. The cobra died. Shit like that.
Right.
There was definitely a point where I was engaging with social media, trying to make Chuck Norris, specifically making Chuck Norris posts that were like, Chuck Norris is so powerful that when he was born, he destroyed his mother's uterus and then punched his dad in the face and killed the doctor and killed everyone at the hospital. Just stuff like that. I was trying to just go as far as possible. And someone called me on it. He was like, you're just making Chuck Norris memes.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, that's fair.
They already exist, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when you had half the world's half the internet world's population, making memes, you're probably, it's going to be pretty hard to make an original one, right?
I was thinking I want to do a stream one day where I make Matt sit through and look at the memes that me and my friends share, because they will just mean nothing to him. He's not online enough to understand the bullshit that we think is humor.
Yeah, there's definitely memes that I share with a couple of friends of mine where they'll send me a picture of just a frog and it just says, "What's up?" and it's just a frog that looks weird. Things like that are just
When did 28 Days Later come out?
Like 2003 or something, 2005.
Okay, I'm just thinking of his sleeping for a month in this episode, or being knocked out for a month, which was pretty hysterical. But
you know what's funny? I
Was
fell
it?
asleep when I watched that movie.
what happened when
Oh,
you woke up?
2002. It's pretty early.
Okay, so I mean,
Um,
I don't think they're really referencing it, but
I fell asleep really
Well, that's-
before a
that's-
lot of the zombie stuff happened.
And that's also how like Triffids start and a lot of like British post-apocalypse stuff.
okay, just
Well, that because you knock them out for the big budget part.
Yeah,
They wake up
yeah,
for the
well, that's-
post-apocalypse part.
I mean, didn't they do that with Walking Dead pretty much? It's
Yep.
sort of the same thing.
yeah.
Man wakes in hospital. Oh, all the big budget shit already happened. What happened?
I guess it's because it's always wakes in hospital, right? So
Yeah.
which I guess if you are out for a month, that's where you're most likely to wake up.
You know,
He just wakes up on the floor of the hospital where he was knocked out.
yeah, I like the idea that just nobody really did anything because that's literally they didn't reset anything.
You know, they were
But-
apes.
The to me the absolute best joke in the episode and one of the best jokes in the entire series is the storage room with all the boxes with printouts of pictures of bottles of water on them that obviously don't weigh anything.
And then
just
they end up in the field at the
It's
end for no
another
reason.
bunch of those boxes.
yeah.
So it's the water storage room, I guess. Okay. That
And I
makes
was there thinking, like, wait, that's not how you do water. And I was like, wait, but is that how you do water in a hospital? It has to be super sanitary.
Yeah, it's like I'm the thing that breaks my brain is like, was the idea that someone did this thinking that we would see these and think that they were literally we were seeing the water, and that's like that's the absolutely brilliant part of it. So I'm like, how much am I supposed to believe about this?
I thought we were supposed to believe that within each box is a tub of water.
I mean that's what makes sense, but part of it is like,
Oh, I thought it was like individually bottled waters. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Each
yeah.
box contains a bottle of.
Well-
Oh, you mean like it's full of like 500 ml bottles?
right.
no, it's like it's a
And they're
water
emptying
cooler
them
bottle.
into the water tank.
That's what I think. That's what I assumed.
No, but how is an
Oh,
ape
well, with the
supposed to
way
piss into all those individually?
That's why I'm not giving up my stance
That's
here.
why it
'cause that
took a
means-
month.
Right.
Yeah, well, with the inefficient way the Tories run the NHS, that probably is how they handle their water.
Well, he only has to piss in
Uh,
half, right? He needs to drink half the water so he can piss it into the other half.
How much of the
You
water
think-
you drink does come out as piss?
I assume he's just replacing water with his piss.
Like some of it makes your body in that.
Yeah.
I do like the way that the whole explanation at the end is dubbed in really fast
Yeah,
over
that was-
shots of scenery.
Well, that's because you finish and you're like, oh crap, we forgot to actually explain the story,
But that's
right?
basically exactly like the Star Trek episode you brought up
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's exactly. They didn't even really do that much. It was more like they explained what they were gonna do beforehand. They're just like,
Yeah.
"Ugh." I have a special kind of hatred for just explaining things and then doing them off screen. Like, was that Mortal Kombat sequel where you see Liu Kang transform into a dragon, and then when he transforms back into Liu Kang, you just see the dragon get knocked out, and then he's just a guy again. It's just like, you could pay for one transformation, you can't pay for the second one.
I'm just realizing
Play the footage backwards.
Might as well. That's how good it
I
was.
was watching a documentary where some guy went over to America to interview. It was whatever, you know, that awful church that used to bang on about gay people. But it-
Westboro.
You have to be
yeah.
more specific.
Sorry, was
yeah,
I
it
not
was
supposed to
West-
say
it
the
was
name?
Westboro, yeah. And it
Unfortunately.
showed the plane taking off. And then
Mhm.
like 5 minutes later, it showed that footage in reverse. And it's just, the narrator's just like, we couldn't afford to film the plane landing.
But that's an impressive landing, isn't it? If you can do it backwards.
I think
I was-
planes should do that. They should land backwards.
Oh, right. I've been waiting. I want to say this on a podcast. I don't care what one. I saw an awesome bird today.
Oh, okay.
I was walking down to I was going to the convenience store to buy this fucking soda. And like a little brown bird, it did like a trick, like a stunt, like tucked its wings in and went through the grill on a fence and then opened them
Oh,
back up
sweet.
again and kept going.
Nice.
It's the sort of shit you do if you were a bird in like an animated film or a video game. I didn't think the real ones went around doing that shit.
Like when a video game opens and you're following the bird and the camera follows it and the bird does some sick tricks because it introduces you to the town of the small Japanese town where you'll be finding other birds.
Sure.
I've seen anime. I know how things happen.
I was sitting here thinking that I basically had a piss double feature last night because I also watched the first episode of the second season of the Orville, which involves the commander, or lieutenant. He has to return to his home world because his species only urinates once a year, and they have to have a ceremony for it.
I haven't watched the Orville. I have to finish
Same.
Voyager and then finish Enterprise and then watch Picard and then finish Discovery, and then maybe I guess I'll watch the Orville and then watch Prodigy. All this is really upsetting to me. I'm like, I felt like there was so little Star Trek, and I had my whole life to watch all of it.
Finish Voyager and then just go back and start TNG again and not watch any of the other stuff.
It's like I got a Blu-ray player for the first time in several years, so my last Blu-ray player died, and I'm just like, should I just buy the TNG Blu-rays and just watch that and just fuck everything else and like watch Lower Decks now and
Lower
then
Decks
when
is
it comes
good.
back? Yeah, I watched
DS9.
all that. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching DS9.
I've like one of my New Year's resolutions this year is just like, I'm going to stop forcing myself to watch and play things I don't like. Like when I'm not enjoying something, I'm just gonna be like, I can just not do this.
Yeah, I think I made that resolution about 5 years ago. Although we occasionally
We do stuff for the podcast.
I was about to say,
That's
but
different,
most of the stuff I want to see anyway, right? I mean, I want to watch Garth Marenghi. That's not much of an ask.
But I'm always like, well, I've started this video game. I'm not really enjoying it, but I've got to finish it. I could just not and then play a fun game instead.
I did actually just do that, but yeah, I came to that sort of realization when I was watching The Flash, when the third season of that was so abysmally terrible that half of it was just him being upset that his girlfriend was going to die in the future, and the
Everyone's
next
gonna die in the future, Flash.
well, the next to last episode, she just dies, and I considered just like, I hate this so much, I think I'm just going to stop watching now. And then I just begrudgingly went ahead.
You're gonna let his girlfriend be dead.
Yeah, I went ahead and watched the last episode anyway, and I was like, I shouldn't have even done this.
I stopped at the mid-season break. It was like the Christmas episode, and I just never came back. I was like, isn't this the same plot as season 2?
I was gonna say, I watched the whole first season, and then I came back in season 2, and the arch nemesis was another speedster.
And guess what? Okay. Season 3,
and like season speedster. 4 and season 5 and season 6 from what I've heard. So
I've heard they eventually had a non-speedster season or 2, but I couldn't be bothered anymore.
I've heard nothing, but it gets worse.
Really liked the first season of Supergirl, and then just for some reason never went back.
Yeah, the second season was good because most of it was like a lesbian alien bar.
Okay.
Like that was like the setting, but Callista Flockhart didn't come back, so it's like that really kind of ruined everything. She was just so great. She was so great, just yelling at people and being condescending asshole. But anyway, the game I walked away from is actually a game called Outer Wilds.
Oh, everyone keeps telling me how great that is.
It's super great. Then a DLC came out that's almost the length of the original game, and there's the mild spoiler, but not really. There is a sequence where you have to play this part of this game that's sort of horror themed, and you're walking slowly and can't see anything. And it wasn't the scariness, but I'm like, I cannot stand walking slowly through this dark area anymore. It's so slow. I'm just like, you don't get your jetpack. But yeah, I highly recommend the original game.
I'm waiting for it to come out on Switch, and then I'm definitely gonna play it.
Yeah, fantastic game. Yeah, anybody listening, you play it too, and you don't have to play the DLC.
It's basically like a water level, right? You're just moving slowly, but there's no water.
Again, mild spoilers. It is a fully simulated solar system, so there are some planets. There is a water level, and then sometimes the water kind of evaporates and goes place. You'll find out. You'll see.
Well, he will.
Yeah.
Luke will tell you about it.
And if I try and tell Matt about any game that's got more than 16 bits, he doesn't understand.
Well, this is the thing about our Outer Wilds is there are no weapons.
Dimension.
The only controls are you can pick things up, you can fly your spaceship, and you have a jetpack, and you can hit your head on an asteroid and die, constantly, and that's part of the fun of the game. It's like, whoops,
Constantly dying.
yeah, it's like the genuine feeling of I have this spaceship that is a death trap, and I will constantly accidentally die in space.
Yeah, I've heard that it really captures this feeling of just like getting into this rickety piece of shit and going out into the void.
Yeah, I'd say it's one of the best horror games I've played recently because of that. Because you're just like, and your spaceship like gets away from you. It gets away from you, and you're trying to get it back, and you're just jetpacking after it, and you see it go farther and farther away, and then you're just like, and oxygen's low, and you're just, well,
oh, now I'm fucked.
yeah.
I guess did anyone have a big point on this one?
Yeah, there's the fallacy that humans are more evolved than other animals. But like, I don't know, do you really think we're better than all the animals that don't nuke each other?
Well, they say the dolphins are the sharp ones.
Well, I think there was a recent article I saw that said, oh, actually Neanderthals could talk and use logic. I'm like, wow, that's
well, it's been
interesting.
I think for like decades we've known that Neanderthals were basically as intelligent, if not more intelligent than us. They were just less aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like we've known for ages that they had art and culture and everything. And they didn't, they're not like extinct. They interbred with us.
It's a tough time to reflect on humankind. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
In general, I feel like I wonder, it's like if we were alive during the aftermath of World War II, if it would be easier, because everyone sort of decided they were on the same page, except for except for the Axis powers.
We were watching The Thing from Another World recently, the other podcast.
Okay.
And like, because that was made immediately post-war, it has a weird like anti-science vibe to it.
I feel like a lot of sci-fi has an anti-science vibe, because it's like it's just so much easier to write an intelligent villain than it is to write like an intelligent protagonist, because you have to give the protagonist like overwhelming odds to go up against,
including they're an idiot.
Look, I got this from my new Blu-ray player. I just watched the other thing.
Sorry, it's coming in mirror image.
Yeah. On this hemisphere, we call it the Nick.
Yeah. The Thing. You know the story of the poster, right? That the guy who made the poster had no clue what the movie was really about, or what the movie looked like, or anything. So they just did the thing as the glowing weird head thing.
I mean, it honestly works. It's sort of like that. It was sort of the right time for that, because remember how the Space Invaders arcade cabinet, or like any Atari game where you'd see like this dramatic, like elaborate picture on it, then it was just like dots. And then Nintendo did this thing where they put Mario on the box, like, look, it's this.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're getting, folks.
And I think that really worked.
The one of the Marvel vs. Capcom games, you can actually unlock box art Mega Man as a character, where it's that like grown-ass man who looks nothing like Mega Man with a gun.
Yeah, who looks like someone who's like 14 drew him, because he has that weird thing, like you see somebody who doesn't know how to draw and they're kind of like sideways.
Yeah.
Like they don't stand up straight, because they kind of like are going to the side. Yeah, the Mega Man 1 and 2 had different box art bad Mega Man. It's weird.
I think like pretty much all the American releases of the NES ones had this weird man that they draw.
Yeah, Capcom probably just had a guy who worked there. It's like, I'll do it. They probably had like 4 people working the office.
Well, it's the same dude who happened to spray paint their van.
Still Rockman here, though. I think Pac-Man is Pac-Man in Japan now.
Yeah.
I don't. Puckman didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Well, they're not even two different sounds in Japanese anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Rockman. That thing in Scott Pilgrim where he's like trying to pick up girls by telling them that Pac-Man was
Pac-Man,
not called. Yeah, that I ashamedly used to do that exact same thing. When I saw that movie, I was like, oh God. Way before that, I mean, but
yeah, it is a pretty well observed film.
Probably when I was his age, yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll shed this one into the axis into the rice cooker. However things do that. This is Aural Hygiene Pod at Twitter. We're on Facebook. We do what I don't even know what I was gonna say, but this is in the umbrella of other podcasts at Podcastio Podcastius. What do you do there?
I make podcasts about Pokemon and Monster Hunter, both of which have definitely got episodes about big apes. So go and find those, I guess.
We do Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary together, and
Here you can find a little bit of Planet of the Apes and a lot of King Kong.
yeah, the wrong.
We've
Planet of
only
the
done
Apes.
the bad Planet of the Apes so far.
Have you done you haven't done Beneath yet, have you?
We've only
only
done the
done the Tim
bad
Burton
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, you got to do Beneath, man. That's like almost a perfect sci-fi sanctuary movie.
Yes, it is. But we have to do the first, right? Or do we
Yeah,
do the
that's
later
true.
ones first? I don't know. See,
Later ones are good.
It's
Those
one
are
of
more
those
action.
headaches. It's one
The
of those,
later ones are actually the first ones.
but they don't fit
Yeah.
with the
Yeah, I
earlier
know.
ones. Okay.
Because
think-
even the old ones go back in time and show you the start anyway. So.
Right.
That's true. They're more like they replaced the
Hmm.
last 3 movies of the original series with the new 3 movies.
Yeah. But even the first two don't quite make a nice match anymore because it's not nuclear destruction.
Hmm.
Unless people just got really wild as they were dying and ripped down buildings and
They
stuff.
do mention a virus in the old ones.
Yeah. Okay.
don't
Anyway,
know about
we'll
that.
work that out.
Sorry,
But
you were-
yeah, that's way too deep in the weeds for the Apes of Wrath. So that's more of
Yeah.
that's more of just a "Brah!"
Anyway, I
Not
think
the
everyone
water.
at home should reject society and go back to your animal self like a man.
Shit in the
ape.
car.
Buy our supplements, drink our supplements. It's all you
Shit in the
need.
car.
Be a
Shit in the car.
homo.
Be a Homo erectus. Shit in the car.